It's time for another edition of Coach's Corner with women's basketball coach Matilda Mossman.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Coach's Corner with head coach Matilda Mossman, University of Tulsa women's basketball. And this is our first show, but Coach, we're going to catch up because you've already played 8 games. You're 3-5, so give us an 8-game assessment.
Wow. I think the big thing is I think there's only been one game where we had our full complement of 13 players available, either through trying to discipline people or people being injured, people being sick. So that part's been a little frustrating. We got off to a start where played pretty well, but we were without 4 players. Probably the highlight has been going to Little Rock and really playing well at Little Rock and beating a very good basketball team. And then our home game against UMKC, another highlight. We played well, shot the ball really well. And then our last couple of games, Oral Roberts and North Texas, we just didn't shoot the ball very well. Going back to the most recent North Texas on Saturday, that game we went 1 for 11 in the fourth quarter, got outscored 22-11. 9 of our points come from the free throw line. Just couldn't make a basket. And I think basketball players tend to get their energy from making shots. And so if you're not making shots, then you don't have energy. And then it hurts you on the defensive end because you don't have urgency, you don't have energy. And so that part of it has been really frustrating.
Yeah, and in the early going, as you mentioned, you were shorthanded a little bit, but that allowed you to play some of the younger players for you, which is a positive. You had a shot against American. You had a shot against Belmont. Shug Dixon played well for you, 22 points each of those games. So you came away from those first 2 games 0-2, but you had gained something, I suppose.
I think so. Even though in those first 2 games they were both losses, we still felt good about how we played, and we had chances, especially against American. We had chances to win that game, even being shorthanded. Then you look at the Belmont game. Wow, they're a really good basketball team. Lots of experience, both with American and Belmont. Lots of experience, lots of juniors and seniors, and those guys have. When you've played together as long as those guys have, you're able to hide each other's deficiencies, and but even with everything that was going on, we still felt pretty good about the way we played.
And then, as you mentioned, the Little Rock game, maybe the best performance you've had so far here in the early season. Tatiana Perez has 18. Kendra Elliott returns; she has 13 rebounds. So you kind of start to get it going a little bit, and that kind of takes you into the UMKC game at home.
Yeah, I mean, we felt really good. The Little Rock game. We got off to a little bit of a slow start, but it all matters when you make shots. And Little Rock's a good team. They came back and they had just beaten Memphis by 30 after our game. They came back and beat Oklahoma at their place. So they've got a good team. We just played particularly well that night.
And then the UMKC win was a good home win for you. Then you go on the road. You are part of the final Great Alaskan Shootout, at least at this point, because it doesn't look like they're going to continue that tournament up there in Anchorage, Alaska. First of all, what was that experience like?
Well, as much as some of our players were not looking forward to it because of the cold, I think they really enjoyed it. I thought we had some fun experiences, got to see a lot of wildlife, and even though the temperature was low, there wasn't wind, there was snow on the ground, but they have less humidity, and so the snow wouldn't even pack enough to make a snowball. So, but I think just the different things we got to see and do, even though it was cold. When you live in Alaska, you better like hiking, you better like fishing, you better like hunting, because those are the things that the people there do. And but it was a fun experience. And the basketball, the people in that community really get behind that tournament. And it being the last one, it was very well supported. And we beat Binghamton in the first game and really have to fight through some adversity to win that. And then in the Anchorage game, we have an 8-point lead with like 6 minutes to play. And then we had some turnovers. They go down, and then we missed some blockouts. We had a situation where they missed a 3, got an offensive rebound, missed another 3, got the offensive rebound, and then they made a 3. And then they had a situation where they would maybe we'd foul them on a bucket. So as they start making their comeback, there's like 4,000 people in there, and they really started getting behind their team. And so then we're not only just fighting those 5 guys on the floor, we're fighting that whole arena. But it was a great atmosphere. It was a great atmosphere for college basketball.
And as you mentioned, you had that 8-point lead, and then they went on like a 14-2 run to end the game, which is kind of disappointing. But they're even though they're a Division 1 AA or a Division 2, they're a good team. They were unbeaten, I think, coming in, right?
Yeah, they were undefeated, ranked number 2 in Division 2 at the time, and playing on their home court. So, but I thought there were a lot of good things that we were able to take from that game moving forward.
And then you come off of that, and despite the disappointment of not winning, but playing pretty well, then you come home, and all of a sudden the spigot turns off in terms of your offense for a couple of games.
Yeah, I can't explain it. We've gone through. We weren't shooting the 3-ball very well anyway. I think at that point we were shooting about maybe 26% from the 3. And it's kids that were shooting 30% last year, same kids. And then we go through this 2-game stretch where, really 3-game stretch where we've maybe made 6 threes in the last 3 games. And so that's been a disappointment because, our posts were playing well, but our guards weren't shooting it well. So now defenses are collapsing in on our post. And then at North Texas, our posts weren't scoring, our guards weren't scoring. It just became a snowball where we couldn't make shots.
And North Texas obviously played pretty good defense against you.
They did. They're real aggressive, and they forced us into some turnovers, and made us have to hurry a little bit.
Well, TU 3-5, and we'll talk about the week to come for University of Tulsa women's basketball. That's when Coach's Corner continues in a minute.
Power is excitement, energy, an unrelenting spirit. Its success is realized on the court, and its passion is felt in the hearts of players, coaches, and fans. And it all comes together in a conference known as the American. The American Power for Life.
We're back on Coach's Corner, and head coach Matilda Mossman with us, so TU women's basketball, and still plenty of time to turn this around. You're 3-5, and then you have the home game on Tuesday against Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Right, and they just lost at Nebraska the other day. Pine Bluff is a really they play with a lot of energy. They really run the floor, and they get after you defensively. They dive on the floor after loose balls. They will crash the offensive boards, and so we're going to have that energy and urgency against them.
So we'll see you Tuesday night at the Reynolds Center for Pine Bluff. Then on Sunday, Coach, it's the old stomping grounds. You're at Arkansas. Does that mean anything to you? I mean, it was so long ago when you were the coach there.
Well, we went there 2 years ago, and that was the first time we had played in Bud Walton Arena. And of course, I didn't coach in that arena, so it's a little bit different because it's a different arena. But I've still got a lot of good friends there, a lot of great memories at the University of Arkansas, and now they've got a new coach and a new team. They graduated some people off last year's team, so it's still an SEC team. It's still a Power 5 team. So it's a team that we will have to be ready to play against.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is the sort of game that you can point to, and obviously if you could get Tuesday's win, but on Sunday, if you can get that win, that really helps kind of springboard you a little bit, doesn't it?
It does, and especially right now, we're getting ready to start final exams, and so you just never know where people's minds are when you play games, and your practices are limited or they're at different times. And so there's a lot of distractions because we're trying to be aware of guys needing to study for exams and that kind of thing. So, opening it up Tuesday against UAPB, we've got to worry about that one first, obviously.
All right, let's go get that one, and let's get Sundays as well, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Head coach Matilda Mossman, and that is Coach's Corner.